Gallery view. Okay, you guys. Hey, I feel like maybe we're all getting sick of seeing me. Um, so I'm thinking, and I just chatted with Angela about this, that it's totally time to like have other coaches. We have so many awesome builders on this team, lead some of these team calls. So just if you feel up for it, let me know. And if not, like you might get a private message from me or Angel saying, hey, can you cover, one of these weeks? And that way we can kind of start divvying it out a little bit. I do want to ask Lauren, who is technically on our team, but I don't think she's in our team page. She's one of Danielle Ray's coaches, and Danielle Ray kind of has her own team and her own team page and stuff. But she, you'll see her on our Success Club board because she always has like SC10 by like right away. And like usually she's in like the 20s each month. So she's dynamite right now. So I do want to ask her to come and talk to us. So that'll be sometime in the future, but then also any of you guys, like we all just kind of learn and glean from each other. Okay. So I busted out my old notes from when I went to High Performance, which is with Brendan Burchard, which is what Angel was just at with her husband. So I don't even remember when it was. The beginning of this year? I don't know. That's how it was impactful. Okay, I just can't remember when it was. Hey, Angel. Hey, Marcy. So just to like jump into it, he talks a lot about productivity. And I think that this is such the case with us. I decided that when you're a stay-at-home mom and you're running this, or you have a job and you're running this business, it's super easy to distract ourselves and to have other things that we're doing. I talked about this briefly actually yesterday on my story because I was like, my room is messy right now. And it'd be really easy for me to sit down and be like, you know what? It's so productive for me to just clean this room. I can visually see the result of my efforts. It's something I'm comfortable with. I feel like I can give myself a gold star and, I can do that. But in reality, it's because I'm sitting down knowing that I need to make a vulnerable post or send out an invite that's hard. And so it's discipline. It's all really, it just comes down to, and practicing. And it's like literally being able to take off the hat of mom or house, maintenance or whatever you want to call that, homemaker, and putting on the coach hat and being like, okay, this is now the time to like work. And being able to kind of limit that distraction. Now, I don't have a toddler with me right now, but normally I do. So obviously it's within reason, Hang on a second. Okay, good. So, hey, Susie. So we're just talking about being productive. So I know that sometimes we have to stop and play memory with our kid, or we have to feed, Ivan, like these things happen. Or feed ourselves, because we're at home, but, it's just about trying to limit that. Okay. So Brendan Burchard, he talks about having your dream and like really honing in on what your dream is. And he draws a line on a paper like this, like, I should go this way maybe. I don't know which way the recording will look, but start to finish, okay? And you have this dream. And in order to make the dream work, this top part is like us making the dream work. You have to have discipline. Discipline has to be there. And that's kind of what we just talked about, right? And action. So discipline and action is up here. And then on the flip side, down here where we want to stay and hang out and not actually get to our dreams is we allow distraction. And a lot of times distraction comes because we have doubt. And doubt just means we lack our own ability to figure things out. So flip side, confidence, which kind of hangs out up here, is the ability, like the knowledge to know that you can figure things out. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So here we go. He said, here are the 10 reasons he said that you are either dragging, dogging it, or you will fail for sure for your dreams. Okay, so I'm going to give you a reason, and then we're going to like counter that reason, like how we can fix that. So the first one is, he says, your future identity. You can't actually imagine it coming true. And I think we talk about this a lot in Beachbody, but at the end of the day, I think everybody, we're human. We suffer from self-doubt. And so at the end of the day, you're like, can I actually envision my 5-star, 10-star team? Can I actually envision myself making $100,000? Can I actually, can you actually see it happening? Success Club. Can I actually see it happening? And so it's like, can you imagine it? And if you can't imagine it, then you won't do the stuff that you need to do. You're going to let yourself get distracted. And so the counter of that is we have to constantly, consistently be visualizing what it is that we want, what it is that our life looks like that day. And sometimes when I'm like, I just don't know if I'm like top coach, like, successful coach material, I think, okay, hold the phone. What would a successful coach look like today? Like, what would I have to do today to be that? And like today, like, what does their day look like? What would my day look like? Kind of a thing. He said the second reason that you are dogging it, won't try, or will fail is it lacks intrinsic value, meaning you don't actually love what you do. You're not in love with it. And he says you've got to figure out how to love the work that you're doing. And maybe you need to reevaluate, what you're doing or how you're doing it. But it's more like you need to do it because you love it. And you need to enjoy the work to get it. And I know I feel like it was Keisha who recently shared a team call on this with Team Forward Fitness, so you can search that if you want. But she talks about this specifically, about how she just learned how to love all the action steps. So she's like, fall in love with the process and the result will come. But like, fall in love with your daily process. And you can do that. There's ways we can do that. The third reason is utility value, which means like, what's the point of this? Like, what is the point of showing up every day? And what is the point of like doing this? And so he flips that to like, well, think about the tangible award. Like, what can you get out of this? And I think about like a challenger having a life-changing transformation. I think about, a team, like getting to see you guys every week. Like there are tangible things that I can right now see and feel and touch. I mean, at Summit we can all touch. Okay. He said the fourth reason is opportunity cost, which basically means what will you be missing out on? Like maybe we don't want to sacrifice what we have to sacrifice to get it. And so his flip side is, well, can you sacrifice? So just think about that too. I hope I'm like not just rambling over here. I swear these points are really good when he was giving them. The fifth one is delay time, which means it's going to take too long to get there. One time I had a conversation with Scotty Hobbs when I was a brand new coach, and he said something like, well, what is it that you want to get out of coaching? Like, what is your goal really? And Weston and I were both there. We were talking to him together. And Weston and I had already talked about it. And we were like, well, we really want to get to $1,000 a week. And we were just like, and we were like all excited, brand new coaches. And we're like, and we want to get there. And we know we can get there. And like, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, that is such a great goal. What if it took you 5 years to get there? And we were like, well, it won't. Like, no, we're like, that's crazy. Like, we got this, Scotty. Like, where's the pep talk, And he's like, this is the pep talk. Like, what if it took you 5 years to get there? Would you still show up every day knowing that it's a delayed, like, reward? And we had to really think about that. And because in this business, as like we all know, it takes a long time to get there. That's a blessing in disguise, because that means those who are stick with it, reap that benefit. But anyway, it's just that idea, like it might take a while. And so one thing that Brendon Burchard suggests is cutting it in half and setting that and like celebrating that milestone, or working really hard to get to that milestone, because it's just slightly more attainable. So like, okay, well, let's start with trying to get $500 a week or $100 a week. Like just make it a little bit more achievable for the if we're having a hard time knowing that it's going to take a while. Okay. The sixth reason why he says is personal control, which means you feel like you might not be able to influence the outcome. As in, I don't really have control over this. I don't have control over my coaches. I don't have control over my challengers. I don't have control. And he was like, shift that to, you're totally capable of reaching this. Like, we're problem solvers. We can figure things out. It's not on your coaches. This is on you to figure things out. Okay. He says social support is another reason, or team support. And everybody, all of us have already had haters, I'm sure, by now, or someone that you thought would totally be supportive of you. And they're like, I don't know, that seems a little bit weird, you know? I for sure have had people that were like, I totally want to do this. And then I'm like, cool, what if I had a coach account with you? And they're like, oh, wait, it's one, no, I'm not doing one of those things, you know? And I'm like, but you don't understand, you know, and then they're gone. But like, we're all going to have moments like that. And he says, hold to your team and hold to your friends that support your dream and hold to your dream. So, and I think that is where this team comes in very valuable, because I do think this is a safe place where we can really talk about our dreams. And like, sometimes our husbands don't mean to be haters, but sometimes they're being practical, you know, and that's okay. Let them, you know, be practical. But also like, know that this is where we can chat, and this is like, you can have a dream here, guys. And like, I full-heartedly know that you could reach it. So just know like that's there. And sometimes with, I don't mean to generalize, but sometimes with men, it's more like once the evidence starts coming, once you hit those first few milestones, that's when their minds go, oh, she's doing this. Okay. Like, I think I can get behind this now. So Weston was super supportive, because I was like, I didn't ask permission. First of all, I was like, I need this. Like, I love the team support and all this stuff. And, oh man, I just had one. She was already, oh yes. Yeah, Stacy. Yep. I've had that happen. So just hold tight to the people who do believe in you. Okay, guys? Hold tight to the people that believe in you. By the way, Angela and I believe in you. And I know everybody that's like, I can see all your faces. I think we all believe in each other. So the eighth one is bandwidth. So I was like, bandwidth? What? He just means sometimes we feel like we don't have room on our plate. You guys, we are busy people. And I heard something the other day, a statistic. They said optimistic, I shared this with Angela when I was late talking to her on a phone call. Optimistic people are usually late to things because they just know they can fit it all in. Like, they just know they can get it all in there. So, right? So usually now when I'm late, I'm like, it's just evidence that I'm an optimistic person, okay? It's just evidence. It's not that I slept in or, you know, whatever. But honestly, one of the things that holds us back is that we truly believe we don't have room on our plate, and we truly believe we cannot be a good mom or good at our current job or a good service person if we also add one more thing. And so he just says, P.S., there's totally time. Like, you just have to learn how to use your time. And I will get into time in just a second, because he has some very good points in time management. But it's basically just the knowledge that actually, like, I have the same hours in a day as like bazillionaires who created business from nothing. And I'm not saying it, and it goes back to kind of our earlier ones, like, what are you willing to sacrifice? Well, I don't really sacrifice kid time right now. Maybe in the summer I did, but I had a conversation with my kids about that. But I do sacrifice Netflix marathons. Okay. Like, that's a tough one. All right. There are sacrifices that we make. Okay. Number 9, another reason that we won't try or will fail is resources. We don't think we have that time. We don't think we have the equipment. We don't think we have the knowledge, the skill, whatever. And I think that every time I listen to a wake-up call, I have 2 choices. I have the choice of thinking, I don't have the magic sauce that they have. I don't have XYZ that they're talking about, or like that fire or that time or that energy or that resourcefulness. Or I can be like, okay, like she figured that out. Can I figure this out for me? And it goes back to that thing we were talking about earlier with confidence, as far as, do you have self-doubt, meaning you don't think you can figure things out, or do you have confidence, meaning you know you can figure things out? Okay, so if you don't feel like you have the resources to do this, you totally do. We already have the trainings, but now it's like, it's more, I think it's more internal, because I think we all know we can listen to trainings. I almost think that sometimes we're guilty of listening to too many trainings versus making action. And so it's kind of like, just believe that you can plow through. And then the 10th one is health. Now, he's not talking to coaches when he's talking to this. He's talking to entrepreneurs. And he is like, people don't have the health to sustain entrepreneurial life, because you have to give a lot of yourself. And in order to give of yourself, you have to take care of yourself. That is one thing we don't ever have to worry about as coaches. I love, love, love that it is a vital behavior for us to take care of ourselves. That's a huge one. Like, being proof of the product is like why I'm still a coach, pretty much, because it is like the ultimate accountability and the ultimate, I can now show up for myself. And that's why when people are like, well, what saved your marriage that one year? And I'm like, well, it was Beachbody. But I'm like, because it was, that's who gave me the skills. That's who forced me to grow physically and mentally. Okay, so be healthy. Okay, guys. Those are the 10 things. And then let's see. Where's my time one? I was just looking at it when I was talking to you guys. Oh, yeah. I know what it was. Okay, so then I'll just say one last thing about time management, and then I'll open it up to you guys. But he was like, this is going to tell you the kind of person I am. So I'm the kind of person that I'm like, I like my life. I like my freedom. I don't organize things. I don't set time aside. I'm not one of those people that has like the 9 to 9:30. I'm doing this. 9:30 to this. I'm doing this. I'm just not. Okay. I've never been that way. And I'm like, I'm a free spirit, Brendan. Okay. And he's like, let me just talk a minute to the free spirits. He's like, you guys want freedom, and you feel like if you organize your time and you set aside those specific hours or whatever, that it's constricting. And he's like, but where's the freedom in that? Like, you want to create a life, but yet you're going to be running around. I'm butchering it. I'm not saying it the way he said it. Angel, didn't he talk about this with you guys too? Like, let me talk to all the hippies in the world and like tell you that you're crazy because.
I'd have to look up my notes again, but yeah, he pretty much came down on all of the free spirits and was like, you guys say you want to be free, but you're not being free. Like,
oh yeah,
you're not free.
Yeah, I wrote down one quote. He said, if you leave your time to randomness, which we're guilty of it. I'm guilty of this even as a mom. Like, oh, I just do mom things during the day, right? Okay. If you leave your time to randomness, you are stealing from your greatness. So if you're leaving time to randomness, you're stealing from your greatness. And I think that, to me, that means if I'm leaving free space, it's kind of like a budget, you guys. Now, I'm also really bad at budgeting. But they say, according to Dave Ramsey, I'm pretty sure that you should have like a zero budget, right? So like everything is assigned something. And it doesn't mean you don't have spending money. It just means you know how much spending money. And that's more freedom than being like, I don't have to record. I just, I get to do whatever I want with, So his idea is like there should always be kind of like a zero flat line of where your money's going each month. And that doesn't mean that you don't have money. It means you know where your money's going and what you're doing with it. It's the same thing with our time. And so it's like, that's why I'm trying so hard to discipline myself on power hours. And then what am I doing within those power hours? Like being super intentional so that, and you can have free time. Like if you're like, well, I need me time, totally, but schedule it. Like choose, like when I log off at noon, which is usually when I finish that power hour, I go and eat eat lunch and I play with Reagan, and I might I purposely don't do anything Beachbody for at least, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm unplugged from that and I'm unplugged from this. And if I want to turn on the TV, fine. But actually I can't do that because it's dangerous. It's like a swirl. I'm just going to see what's happening. And then it's time to pick up kids. So, I can't really do that. But anyway, that quote again, and who said it? It was Brendan Burchard who said it, Marcy. And he said, if you leave your time to randomness, you are stealing from your greatness. And I honestly do feel like that is the difference between success and not success, is that discipline to do what you're supposed to be doing during the time that you're supposed to be doing it. And this extends far beyond coaching world, even as a mom. And I've been that person that's not made fun of, but secretly been wow, you are a little much for the ones that have the calendars, the daily calendars. I'm okay, well, but then, then I'm the one that doesn't take her kid to music class, even though she had it, because I didn't even know. I forgot. Anyway, see? Wasted money. Wasted time. All right, so that's all I have. Anybody have anything they want to chime in with? Share the love. Okay, if any of your kids ever watch YouTube, that is a dumb YouTube song that gets stuck in your head. Okay, they hit so many views, so they made a music video. Share the love. Anyway.
Okay, I really liked the list, and some of them really resonated with me. Because I think especially the fear one, I'd rather fold laundry than go do my power hours sometimes because I'm afraid of, have fears. But that's ridiculous. So I want to hang that list here. And if I have a feeling, I'm going to check the list. If it's one of those things, then I'm just going to get over it and do what I need to do.
That was me too, Marcy. That's still me sometimes. You know why? Because it's so easy. Like I said about my room cleaning, but it's the same with the dishes in my sink right now. I'm well, when my husband gets home or my kids get home, they can visually see what I got accomplished. And yesterday, I spent more time working than normal because we were trying to get a challenge group, stuff going. And I'm I literally had nothing to show from when the day my rest of my family left the house to when they got home. I mean, I did play with Reagan too. That's part of, what I do. But I was I don't know what to tell you except I got a lot done. You just don't know it. But I do think when it comes to fear, it's so much easier to just do something that you're familiar with, which is why sometimes we're busy working, checking into our challenge groups and talking to our already customers, which are things that are great to do, but they're not growing our business. And it's because we're scared of the activities to grow our business. And so it's if you can mentally see that and figure out why am I scared, and then just practice that and do it every day, it gets less scary. And that goes along with the process.
Hey, can I chime in?
Totally.
Okay, so these are some of my notes from that exact session about the discipline and intention versus inattention and distraction. And he says to look at your dream daily. He came down. He was who looks at your dream daily? Who looks at your goals daily? He said to look at your dream daily because people are distracted because they don't have intention. And he was if you know what your dream is and you have intention, you're not going to get distracted. And then he gave us these things to kind of rate ourselves on a 1 to 10 on choosing our real priorities. He said, number 1, is it planned? On a scale of 1 to 10, did you have this activity planned today? 2, do you own this? 3, do you feel it's right? 4, is there a real need now? Obviously things are going to come up, right? If we have a kid puking, 10. That's a real need now. It may not be in line with our dream, but whatever. 5, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is this a passion? 6, will this help me grow? And 7, will this help me lead? And he said, like, for example, I don't know about you guys. I've been a lot better about this lately, but even like those stupid Facebook things that like come up that, that like, they're just such a distraction. Like, I don't even know what, like dumb Hollywood things. Like, what are the top 10? You know what I mean? Like they've got like, I don't know. I can't remember what he called it, but he was like, if it's not a passion, don't click on it. Like, if this thing, what? Oh, thank you. That's pictures of me and Daddy when we got married. Can I have it? You're going to break it. Anyways, he was like, if it's not a passion, don't click on it. Your superficial interests are ruining your dreams. That was the big one. Your superficial interests are ruining your dreams. So clicking on those clickbaits of like, what are the top 10 movies of 2018 or whatever, like just whatever they are. He said, your superficial interests are ruining your dreams. I kind of liked that a lot. And then he went on and just said really quick, he said, what you really want is a better challenge that makes you better. We're here for growth. Just to add to what you said.
That was great. I remember those two now that you say that. Distractions. I won't lie. I'm so guilty of that. And you know, once you click on one video, like they keep coming up. And it's like always those dumb, like funny mom people. And like, anyway, I'm totally guilty, which is also why I don't have, like I have 0 notifications on my phone of any kind, which can probably frustrate some people when they're trying to message me on Messenger or Instagram. But I'm like, you gotta be intentional. I don't even open those until it's time to respond to people. So obviously you guys can text me if it's an emergency. But like, even then, I needed to have I need a different ringer for my husband because I used to like just put my phone away when I wasn't working, but then he was like, you ignore me for hours at a time. I was like, I'm sorry. I changed that, guys, a long time ago, okay? But I'm just saying. So, yeah. Anybody have anything else they wanted to add? Stacy.
Back to the visualization. When we're visualizing what we want out of this, I think a lot of it comes to like visualizing. We get stuck in the action part of like when we see other coaches, like top coaches doing certain things, we think, when I'm that big, I can start doing that. And I've been learning lately that it's just start doing it now, and then it'll help you get there. So like we get stuck in like this mindset of, oh, when I have a big following, then I can do like these other things that we see like Michael Folsom doing or whatever. But it doesn't matter. Like just start doing it now, and then you'll get in the habit of it, and you're going to create that following and that momentum and like become that person of influence to grow yourself into what you're visualizing you want for your business.
Yeah, I love that, Stacy. And it really comes down to like, it goes back to that confidence thing, like knowing that you can also figure things out. Like the coaches that have crazy amounts of, followers and crazy amounts of this and that, like they just once upon a time, they just figured it out. Like there's not really anything special about them. And your business doesn't have to look like theirs either. But it's kind of like gleaning off, like taking interesting things that other people have done and tweaking them to yourself and trial and error and having the confidence to know that like failure doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means that like you're figuring things out. And so I don't know, it's just that struggle. But sometimes, I don't know how you guys are, but when it comes to belief in this, it goes like this. So like, I don't always like feel like I'm going to XYZ, like with my goals, and I have my vision board, but sometimes I don't get it out and look at it because I struggle believing I can get to it. You know what I mean? It's almost like a pain point versus a dream. And so it's in those moments that it's like, that's when personal development and what we're reading and listening to really help. Also, sometimes I get jealous of women my age who are like big influencers. Sometimes I'm like, how did they do that and figure that out and become that? Or they're younger than me. And I'm like, how did they become that? And like, can I be this like supporter of them and still be successful myself? And the answer is yes. But we get in this comparison or this mindset, or really that scarcity mentality where it's like, if one person's successful, that means another's not. And that's not true. But like, belief is a huge one for me. And that's usually when I'm like, I show up my best when I have this, like, the belief is strong. And then I just show up for like almost more maintenance when my belief is waning. So it's holding on to that vision every day.
Yeah, like totally do affirmations. At first I thought they were so silly, but they totally work. I do them every morning.
Yeah, affirmations have definitely helped me as like a mom too, and a wife, and like with church responsibilities. And then the other thing too that kind of goes along with this is when we sit down to work. So sometimes like getting through the to-do list and getting like that gold star for myself gives me confidence, okay? But also when I'm sitting down to go through that to-do list, if you don't have the vision in mind, so if you're like sitting down, you're like, well, I need to invite and I need to do this and this and this, and you get it done and that's great. But what if you sat down and you're like, okay, I need 5 challengers by Monday? It shifts the way you're like, you're going through the, like, first going through the motions versus being very clear of why you're going through those motions and then how you're showing up for those motions. And so that's something to think about too. It's kind of like, okay, but yes, I want to invite to the business. Okay. Yes, I want, X amount of new coaches or whatever, and it's kind of like, even if you don't reach that, having that in mind, it makes your intentions matter more, if that makes sense. Like better use of your time or something.
It creates that urgency so that you're like really intently working. Yeah,
the urgency. That's what it is. And that way it's kind of more like, instead of going through the motions, you're like, I need to get this done. I need to show up. I need to whatever. So, all right. If there's nothing else, I'm going to stop the recording. Does anyone have anything else?